Welcome to the Kingsford Flivver Flash. I'm Coach Van Dusen. This is season 23, episode 1, a senior spotlight with Cole Myllyla. Well, welcome back to season 23 of the Kingsford Flivver Flash. If you've been listening for a while, you'll know that this is not the 23rd season. We simply name our seasons by the calendar year. We've been doing the Kingsford Flivver Flash since April 2019, and this is episode 99. So I ask that you stick around to the end, and I'll let you know who our guest is for the 100th episode. Spoiler alert, if you've been around Flivver football for the last 25 years, you know exactly who it is. But in this episode, we're going to talk with Cole Myllyla. As this episode publishes, Cole is working through his senior year of basketball and has plans for the fall of playing football in college, but I'll let him tell you all about that. So without further delay, let's talk with senior Cole Myllyla. All right, thanks for coming on today, Cole.
No, thank you.
I appreciate it. It's it's time away from family and time away from your friends, and this is really good. So I've known you for a long time, but our audience members may not. So tell us just a little bit about Cole Myllyla growing up as an athlete in Kingsford.
I started playing sports as long as I can remember. It's really been a big part of me, I think, as a person, and has grown me into the man I am today. I started baseball, soccer, golf, football. I was running on the playground, so I guess you could say track. And I think it's really adapted me to a lot of different things at this age that I didn't look back at when I was that young.
For sure. And I'm sure you started at Woodland playing basketball and soccer and baseball and all that jazz. How about in high school? What sports did you play in high school? We know you played football. That's why you're on the podcast.
Oh, yeah.
But what other sports have you played?
My freshman year, I did not run track or golf. I just played football, basketball. I don't know why I didn't play anything else, but sophomore year came, COVID hit, so we had no track season. It was, football was almost on the wire there. 3 or 4 games. Yep.
You got as a JV.
Yep. And I didn't get into golf either, and then my junior year, I was like, I'm turning it all around. So then I went out for 4 sports: basketball, football, golf, and track. And that was the best decision I ever made. It was tough. It was tough because you go from one season to the next and just keep going. But it was really, really a big step for me. And then now here I am with all 4 again. So.
Yeah, this year. So do you think just as an athlete, do you think the COVID part where we didn't get as much football, we didn't have track, basketball was a hot mess? You're trying to wear a mask on the basketball court. I don't know how that was supposed
terrible.
to work.
That was terrible.
Do you think that gave you a greater appreciation? Because it sounds like right after your sophomore year, you dove right in and became a 4-sport athlete.
So my sophomore year when COVID was hitting, I actually was really good friends with Ben Rumpf and Michael Meneguzzo, and it was the best decision I made to hang out with those guys. We opened up a gym at Michael's house. So during COVID, we got to lifting, and then we organized once the mandate started opening up a little bit. We opened up to other neighboring schools like Norway, Iron Mountain. Anywhere the guys came out, we played 7-on-7 football. So it was awesome to be outside. Understanding our plays. Bonding as a team. It was great, but yeah, that was nice.
For sure. So played golf, track, football, and basketball.
Yep.
Those are the 3. That's awesome. And track and golf are at the same time. So how do you manage that as an athlete? Because I know you have to qualify for certain things. I know I coached tennis one year, and it was sometimes I have them and sometimes I don't.
It was tough. It was tough. So I would have to decide if I had a meet. I actually picked golf to be you have to pick a kind of a head sport. So I picked golf. So if there was a match and a meet, I would have to go to the golf. And so I kind of worked around it, like golf practice one day, next day track. If depends, I had really good communications with Mr. Kriegel, the coach. And so then we worked it out. So I would go Monday, Tuesday, and then go Wednesday, Thursday for golf. So it worked out perfectly. I went for every match I could for golf and every meet I could for track.
That's
and
awesome.
I think I didn't miss any.
Yeah, never had a day off for sure.
Never had a day off, no. And then sometimes I would go about an hour at track and then go right over to golf. So
Oh,
it
geez.
was nice, yeah.
So what else do you do around Kingsford that's not sports related?
I joined a lot of clubs as a senior, and we just opened up this one. President Maria Fernetti, and I'm the vice president of the club. It's called Flivver Family. It's a mental health awareness club that, I mean, we opened it up this year to just have an understanding of, I mean, you are not alone. There's people that appreciate you that, I mean, you may not know of. I mean, you look at, oh, why am I talking to the coolest girl in the school and I'm nobody? I mean, it's everybody's equal, and we like to have the understanding of you are appreciated. I mean, we go out movie night with every grade just to hang out. We went bowling. I mean, it's great. Everybody has a great time, and it makes everyone just feel welcome.
That's awesome. And it is, when you leave high school, nobody is going to care that you were the number one scorer in
Exactly.
basketball or the number one running back or the best cheerleader. Nobody's going to care. It's going to be what type of person you are. And if you can get people to be a good person, especially other people,
Exactly.
that's going to go far in life.
Yeah.
How about work? You've been working anywhere since you've been in high school? It seemed pretty busy
Oh yeah.
with all the sports.
So I worked at Pine Grove. I worked there for 2 years, and that was a lot of time too. I mean, weekends, work there all throughout summer. I was working 40 plus hour weeks. I mean, and then during the school, I would have to work sometimes after school. So give or take, that was during the time of track and golf. So an hour here, there, and there. So I mean, it was pretty hectic, but we got her done, and then fit in everything else.
That's awesome. Well, I'm glad you stayed so busy, stayed involved with everything. So let's talk specifically about football. Let's start with your ninth grade year, freshman Flivver,
Oh yeah.
and what was that experience like? That was a full season.
No, oh yeah, I mean, it was great. I think that was one of my better years at Kingsford, which, I mean, not many people can say. I think it really opened up, since I didn't play younger youth football. It really opened me up to a team and the experience of football. I mean, it was amazing, and I mean, the guys that were on my team were unbelievable. We did lose the GNC title our last game against Marquette, which it was a bummer, but I mean, it just shows that, I mean, you can't ever think you're gonna win a game, and we beat that team by about 30 or 40 at least previously, and
The first game of the
yeah,
season, you beat them, right?
yep. And so we came in thinking, oh, we're winning, and we lost. So it was a kick in the butt, but I think we needed that as a team. I mean, it made us grew to what we are now. I
Yeah.
mean,
Going to round two with that same group of
yeah,
kids. And
exactly.
so we'll talk about your sophomore year in a second. And I know that was the COVID year, so it was messed up. But I want to talk about what's it like playing for your dad?
Oh, there's goods and bads to that. I think it was, I mean, as a father, it's great to be out there with him. As a coach, I mean, we have our arguments, we have our disputes, and I mean, honestly, I mean, I love it. I did love it. I think he enjoyed it. I think it's tough to have that stigma around, oh, your son's the whatever, your
You're the
dad's a
coach's kid.
coach's
Yeah,
kid,
coach's kid.
whatever. But I mean that whatever. I didn't even listen to that, but I mean, no, it was great. It was pretty good.
That's awesome. And if you wanted to know more about Coach Jim Myllyla, I will post the link to his episode in the show notes below. All right. So talk to us about your sophomore year. That was the COVID year. I think you got 4 games in, I believe. And us freshmen, I was coaching freshmen at the time. We only got 3. So what was that? What was that whole experience like?
So I mean, it was really good. I think it was weird because Coach Navarro actually pulled me up to varsity, and I played our first game against Calumet. I mean, it was an eye opener for sure. I mean, going from freshman and then going to varsity football was a big step. I learned a lot that game. I learned I wasn't the best guy out there anymore, and it was hard to understand that, but and then that made me, I mean, just want to work so much harder. So that sophomore year, I became really good friends with Ben Rumpf and Michael Meneguzzo, and we opened up a gym. I mean, it was great. I mean,
So for a long time, we weren't allowed to lift here at the field house.
yeah,
So you guys kind of had your own off-site lifting. So that probably helped a lot. And like you had mentioned before, not only with getting stronger and ready for the season, but also with bonding as a team.
And that's a huge part that we were going for, was that teamwork, and I mean just getting stronger for the season. Every guy on that team, my sophomore year on varsity, I mean every guy on that team wanted to win. They wanted to be the best. So I mean when we had that gym, it wasn't just us three. It was, and we would shoot out a text. Anybody and everybody could come. We would have lifting. I mean it was honestly, we had rotations. It was really set up. So and then right after that we'd go play 7-on-7 at the Kingsford Flivver practice field, and so we asked neighboring schools to come out and do that. I mean, it was great.
That's cool. And as coaches, we always talk about player-led teams always do better than coach-led teams. And I think COVID really, coaches, we couldn't be involved. We couldn't do any organized things. So it's those, I don't want to say unorganized, but those player organized events actually probably really helped you in the long run.
Oh, I mean, it helped so much just to persevere through something such as COVID. I mean, that we were all sitting there. I remember when we saw a Twitter post about how high school sports are getting delayed. And I mean, us guys, we fell into tears. I mean, it was our senior guys thought they would never touch a field again. I mean, that me being a sophomore, I felt that pain, but not nearly as bad as those guys, knowing that it might be over. So I mean, right when it was opened back up, there was no time to waste. I mean, we had to get right into executing what we needed to do. So
yeah, and that was in the Upper Peninsula by us. I'm not sure how it worked with downstate, if it was any different, but we started and we did the first 2 weeks. We just weren't allowed to have a scrimmage, I believe. But you come in for 2-a-days, we'd have to mark you on the sheet, take your temperature, the whole 9 yards. The splash shields came in later. I remember as a freshman coach, we go up to Marquette, and there's a whole episode on this COVID stuff, by the way. Well, first off, they shut us down. Remember Coach Navarro put us in the stands and says, hey guys, we got to take the next week off. We don't know what's going to happen. And then there was talk about doing spring football. And we're thinking, how in the world can you do spring football and then roll right into fall 21? Like what is that going to look like? And I remember talking with some of the seniors, as you just mentioned, and like heart-wrenching, like no idea what's going to happen. And it turns out our varsity, I think, got 6 or 7 games in, and everybody made the playoffs. So they're able to go downstate.
That would have been my sophomore year again. So we went down to Central Michigan's football field. That was a great time playing there. And then we lost to we played Ogama Heights.
Heights, that's what it was.
That was first playoff game. But then once we went downstate, then we played Reed City and lost to those guys. But
and I remember the freshmen, I have my quarterback had never played before, and he'd never played youth football, and he was doing great in the first 2 weeks. And we took that week off. It was like when we came back, we had to start all over. With the freshmen. And then I think we had 3 days, and we go up to Marquette. First off, my phone is blowing up in my pocket because I got kids, their mouth guards are in, and they have these splash shields we got as we got there, which trying to zip tie them on, and nothing was working and it was falling off. We had these gaiters, and my phone's blowing up with coaches saying, hey, you need to have your kids put their gaiters up. And I'm like, how in the world? You got a mouth guard in, you're trying to pull the gaiter over, you can't breathe.
No.
So it was just a hot mess. In that game, one of my favorite games, we actually went down 20-0 at halftime. Not a good first half. We played like we just got off the bus. We only had 12 minutes to warm up, and that's exactly how we played. But we actually came back and ended up winning 22-20 against Marquette, which you know what that's like. Anytime you can beat Marquette, that's a good day.
That's a great win.
That the COVID year was, a lot of negatives with it, but it also sounds like it kind of propelled your class to get ready for your junior year. So let's move right into your varsity years. You got
it was
2 years.
Oh yeah, it was great. I mean, my junior year, I mean, with that little experience from sophomore year, I mean, it helped. I wasn't the senior year, I mean, yet, but junior year, it was amazing. I got in a little bit at running back. I started for cornerback, so that was great. So I mean, that opened me up to to a lot of new things too. I mean, new team, just like the last one. I think everybody wanted to win. It was really, really cool to play with a lot of those guys, especially Zach Person. I mean, he's one of my, really good buddies now, and he went off to Toledo. So you look at some of the guys coming out of here, it's a great group.
Yeah, it is. And we have Zach on the podcast too. I'll post that down below. Got to remember to do that. So moving to your senior season, I know your junior year, you had a couple stud running backs ahead of you, but you got in a little bit. And then your senior year, you're the man. You're the man in the backfield. So what was that like?
Oh, it was great, but I also needed that junior year to watch those guys ahead of me. I mean, Toby Wilcox, he was phenomenal. I mean, that's where I kind of learned. I mean, if I didn't know a play, he helped me. And so that senior year, without anybody, I knew I had to be a guy like that. So, I mean, I hopped right into it. First day practice, just smiling and know I'm that guy. So it was great. I mean, it was Coach Holf doing the ropes, and it was great. It was great.
That's good. So, so to end your junior season, we had to go downstate and play Kingsley down on their field, which was a tough place to play. It was cold. They're a full house team, so it's not something we're used to seeing a lot. And going into the fourth quarter, it was actually 14-10. They were winning. So it was right on the cusp of having a chance there. And they ended up going on to win 28-10. I think we started taking some risks, fumbled the ball, maybe an interception or two. But then this year, fast forward, round one of the playoffs, we draw Kingsley again, only this time they got to come up here. So what was that home playoff game like on Flivver Field as a senior?
No, it can't really get much better than that. I'll go back a little bit. So when we played Kingsley my junior year, I remember playing cornerback. I went to go tackle this brute running back, and he ran me clean over, and he looked me in the eyes and said, "Get up, little boy." And that definitely sparked something in me that I never wanted to lose to that team again. So senior year, when I was at running back, not much of the brute, but I mean, I definitely did not want that feeling of walking out a loss. And forever, I never would have never touched a field again. So it was phenomenal. I mean, after a win, it felt like something I never really felt before. The crowd was so into it. The fans came out hugging us. It was a great feeling.
And playing your last home game on Flivver Field, we knew that was going to be it, because we're at the point in the bracket where we were going to have to go downstate. So that was your last game as a senior, playoff game, playoff atmosphere. You won it. Then the following week, you had to go take on the Flying G's of Gladwin, and that was a little bit different story.
So the Flying G's, I mean, they were a phenomenal team. They won the state championship. Yep. And it was really cool to see that when we were actually down there, they have their fans set up right around the field. I mean, you feel like you could touch them. And I had a little weird touchdown run where we weren't really moving the ball much. And I remember I was standing in the end zone. I don't know if it was 96 yards or something, and I got the ball and I ran, made a couple moves. I got tackled, but I did a flip over the kid, and I didn't hear a whistle, and I was like thinking about it, and I'm like, I never really got down. So I looked around, and then I just kept running, and I scored. So, but like I said, though, when I scored in there, I mean, those fans were within arm's reach, and you could just tell they hated you. I mean, it was a great community for them. So, I mean, it's cool to play in that atmosphere, though.
It is. And that's that run was really fun to watch later on Huddle, because there's a huge pile of people, and you go slamming into the pile of people, and it's like, oh, he's obviously down, right? Yeah. But then you're right, there's no whistle, and then I don't know if you did a somersault or a backflip or what, but you came out of there
somehow. Yeah.
And what you described with the fans kind of reminds me of going down to Menominee, where you're on the sideline and it's like you can touch them, right?
Yeah.
So that's awesome. And congratulations to the Flying G's. They did win the Division 5 state championship. So if we have to go out on a loss, it's best to go out to the state championship.
I mean, I respect those guys more than anybody. I mean, anybody I could have played. I mean, to lose to a team like that is not as bad as losing to a team that you could
exactly
beat, but,
like that Marquette team your freshman year, right?
Exactly. That, not like that, but no.
Awesome. So tell us, you got some pretty awesome future plans. And as soon as your dad texted me about it, I texted you because I wanted to get you on the podcast. So what's in your future?
I just recently committed to Michigan Tech for football, and a funny story. I went down for my official visit, and I got paired up with this one kid, and I was like, he just looks familiar somewhere. So I asked him where he's from, and I mean, he's right from Gladwin, so Flying G's. That was really cool. Hung out with him the whole day, and then later to find out he committed too. So I mean, to go from him taking us away from my
Yeah.
football career to starting a new one with somebody who just beat me. I mean, it's really cool to think about. And
So you played him in Gladwin, and then a
in
month later you're paired up
ex-
with him at Michigan Tech.
exactly, now we're both committed to Michigan Tech. So taking our new career over there in Houghton. So
That's awesome.
It's awesome.
So talk to us a little bit about the football part of going up to Houghton, Michigan.
You got to be a kind of a rough, tug group of guys. I mean, you're playing in some snow. I mean, there's going to be some days where it's going to be some snow blowers out there pushing. I mean, you got to man up once you get up there. There's no more really those extremely hot. I mean, beautiful. I mean, it's going to be tough. I mean, I'm going to have to grow up fast and learn. And I mean, the older guys there are just phenomenal. So they're really going to help me push through.
Yeah, I have two quick stories about Michigan Tech's field. One, I went up there to watch Steve Short play when he was at Michigan Tech, Kingsford grad. Did a lot of great things up at Michigan Tech, but we went up there and like you're saying, it was a snow game. And I had gone with a buddy who had tickets to the VIP tent. So we were kind of under this thing and we got hot dogs and pops and it was awesome. But they actually had a front end loader out on the field backblading all the snow off so that they could play. So, and I remember watching Steve, and I had known Steve from when I was in high school here. So that was just a really cool experience. And then the second time is Houghton High School was getting their field redone, and I was coaching at Lance at the time. So we were allowed to play on Michigan Tech's field. And I remember it was August 28th. I'm standing on the sideline and our head coach is wearing shorts because it's August 28th.
Yeah.
And there is snow falling.
No
Now it didn't
way.
stick, but I guarantee you there
No
was
way.
snow falling in August. So yeah, you can Michigan Tech, they have snowmobile parking. So if that's you can bring your sled up there if you'd like.
Snowshoes, maybe to practice.
Broom ball is big up there.
Very much so. Oh yeah.
So tell us about academically. What is your plan as you head up to Michigan Tech? That's a pretty prestigious school, pretty rough.
Yeah.
Tough academically.
I think it is going to be tough, but I don't think it's anything that I won't excel at. I'm actually going to major in finance. I want to be a financial advisor. So going up there, I looked at College of Business. I talked to head finance, and I mean, I just feel like it's a great fit. It is going to be on the harder side, but I think that that's what it makes having that degree a little bit better than the next guy. So, I mean, I feel like you put in the work, you get the results, and then you go from there.
Not unlike your sophomore year, put in the work and
exactly
here's the result.
Exactly.
On the football side, did they give any indication where they want you to start playing offense, defense?
Yes. So they surprised me with they thought I was a pretty tough kid and I could hit pretty good. So they're actually wanting to throw on some pounds and throw me a strong safety.
Okay.
So that'll be a big step for me. And I've always liked hitting. I'm not the biggest guy now, but I mean, I go up there, I sure will put on some pounds. I mean, the strength and conditioning coach, he definitely emphasized that to me. So throw on 15, 20 pounds, and it's a lot easier to be ruthless and just all in the wall. And when you're 20 pounds more, I mean, when you're not that much smaller of the guys you're tackling, so it's gonna be just phenomenal. I think that's what I've wanted all these years, to throw on those 15, 20 pounds, and that's gonna be the place to do it for me. So
that's awesome. All right, well, this seems like a good place to end, and I hope you do great things up in Houghton. I know you will, and then be sure to come back and tell us how things are going.
I will do. Thank you so
Cole.
much.
Have a good one.
You too.
Well, that was a great conversation with Cole, and we wish him all the best through the rest of his senior year and as he moves on to further his football career as well as his academic career. Good luck, Cole. Well, as I mentioned in the beginning, this is episode 99 of the Kingsford Flivver Flash. And as promised, I will reveal who is going to be on the 100th episode, which will be season 23, episode 2. But before I do, I'm going to tell you some of the other guests we have lined up. For episode 3, we have Darren Garolo, who is the current Flivver wrestling coach. And for episode 4, we have Coach Jeff Harry. Now, Coach Harry has been a great mentor of mine. He's coached at Kingsford and at Iron Mountain with a couple state championships. And if you've been around UP sports at all, you know Coach Harry. And for episode 5, we have Mr. Tom Christensen as a Flivver flashback. You may know him as Mr. C, 7th grade teacher at Kingsford Middle School. And now the reveal you've been waiting this entire episode for. Our special guest for season 23, episode 2, the 100th episode of the Kingsford Flivver Flash, the 52nd episode that we've done on video, is Coach Mark Navarra. Coach Navarra played for Kingsford back in the early 90s, played on a state runner-up team in 1992 with Coach Hofer. He was able to continue his career at Northern Michigan University and Lakeland University, where he set a bunch of passing records. And then he was actually able to go play semi-professionally over in Europe. After his time overseas, Coach Navarra came back to coach his beloved Flivvers and has been doing so for 20 plus years. And we're really grateful to have him here in the Flivver Nation. So if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you ring the notification bell so you know every time a new episode of the Kingsford Flivver Flash drops. Till next time, this is Coach Van Duzen. Win in the classroom, win in the community, and win on the field.